There's a lot of anecdotal advice around on improving your marriage. But if you want something you can really use that will actually make a difference and reignite your marriage, check out the link in the description below.
The question, what is a strategy to deal with small problems in my marriage to keep them from growing? Answer by Next Govain. In fact, poor cash flow is a big reason why 1 in every 4 businesses doesn't make it past the first year. And why more than half don't survive past the 5th. Might help. This is how I saved my marriage. Pete Manoi Medium. Cash flow is money flowing in and out of the business. It is usually measured over set periods of time such as monthly, quarterly or annually. For example, we had a client who was a landscape gardener. He was very good at what he did and charged a fair labor rate. However, he started to fall behind with his bills and received a number of red letters. He came to us with this problem because he couldn't understand how he was falling behind on payments to suppliers, despite working hard and charging a good rate. We spent time reconciling his overlooked invoices, only to discover significant sums of money had never been received. We then spent time helping him put a good and robust system in place. That meant a strong cash flow and no more red letters. For most businesses, the only real way to get the books in order is to use an accounting system and to make a point of keeping it up to date. Once your books are in good order, you'll be able to stay on top of how much each customer owes you. You and/or your accountant will also be to generate useful reports so that you can understand your cash flow much more easily. The amount of time it takes a business to run out of cash depends on a number of factors. Ultimately, no business can sustain losses indefinitely. Businesses with cash reserves from previous profits or cash injections can survive without profit for a while. But a consistent length of time bearing losses will eventually catch up to you, regardless of how small or large your cash reserves. With a cash flow forecast, you'll be able to see which months you can expect to see a cash deficit, and which months you can expect a surplus. You'll also be able to get a pretty good idea of how much cash your business is going to require over the next year or so to survive. A cash flow forecast is also a great resource to help you make important decisions, such as when to make a capital expenditure, or whether or not to cut an expense. Answer by Nolan Figured. From 3 Conversations for Polyamorous Intimacy. 1. Checking in. The checking in conversation, while usually the shortest, is the most important in any relationship. I find it analogous to doing the dishes immediately after a meal when nothing's crusty and it's easy to clean up. These conversations tend to be under 5 minutes, and tend to be along the lines of, "I love you. How are things going with you? Do you think there's anything serious we need to talk about? Nope. Did I tell you that it'll be out next weekend? Oh, I put it on the calendar. Good." Hugs/kisses. They're so important because they keep you in touch with your partner without making a heavy deal of the situation. They seem light and trivial, perhaps hardly worthy of attention. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you take say conversations seriously and to heart, you're building a lot of trust and intimacy within the relationship. Your partners will rely on that gentle flow of information, and will often be more likely to offer you the same opportunities. Answer by Maud Desalmachi. The only strategy I knew in my absolutely beautiful 64 years of married life was honesty, openness and respect. Small things should be openly discussed before they grow to big things, and then it is too late. The trick to these discussions is refrain from blaming. Instead of saying something, like "You always turn the TV up so loud, I can't have a minute peace and quiet in this house," one can say, "Sorry, but particularly after meals my ears get overly sensitive to loud sounds. Would you mind if I asked you to tune the TV down a bit?" I guess my point was clear.